Right, and now we're back with our next part of this one. So we're listing our players' inventory now, so what we need to do is add stats to the items. Now we're going to go back over to our items table. This is the game's item table, so this is our main table for the items. And what we want to do is we want to add three more fields onto this table. Our first one will be our HP, second one will be strength, the third one will be defense. The HP will be for food items as a way to recover lost HP during battle, and our strength and defense will be for our equipable items, our weapons and our armour. So I'm going to add them and then I'll be back. Right, so those fields added. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to select all of the food types and I'm going to give them each a HP value. So our grapes, we want to have it increase our HP by, let's say, 6 points, and our berries will raise by 4 points because berries are generally smaller than, or can be smaller than the grapes, and our apple will give us a whopping 12 points of HP. So we'll save that. And now back over on our inventory. We're also going to want to grab this information. So from the game items table, so we're just extending our original query here. We want to grab the HP field, and we'll just name this HP. No, we'll name it item HP. Back down in our while loop, what we're going to do is we're going to display this HP to the user. So we're going to get rid of this break tag, and we're going to do an if statement. So if our row item HP is more than 0, because we don't want to show a bunch of zeros all over the place where they're not needed. We're also going to echo out say this item restores row item HP. And then before we exit our while loop, we're just going to echo break tag. So, all being well, when we come back over to our inventory table and we refresh it, our grapes here, our berries and our apple should all display that they restore HP. So we refresh. No, it won't. Okay, it seems I forgot to put our comma on our select statement. So comma added, and we refresh. There we go. Grapes I could do the space between this and their quantity, but it states grapes quantity 1. This item restores 6 HP. Berries quantity 2. This item restores 4 HP. And apple restores 12 HP. So now we have our item stats displayed. What we want to do is we want to give the option of using the item if and only if the type of the item is food, because we don't want to, we can't consume material items, and we can't consume weapons and armor. So we want to restrict this to food items only. So I'm going to just restructure the way this information is displayed quickly, and then we'll be back and we'll look into adding a link to consume the items if they are food. Right, so what I've done is I've just added them all into paragraph tags each, just to separate them off and make it look a bit more organised here. Okay, so going back to our script, we've obtained the game items, the HP field from the game items table. We're also going to want to get the item type from the game items table. So we've added that in. Get rid of that. We'll add that in there. Right, so if the type equals food, let's make sure I haven't capitalized that on our table. I did. So for precautionary, we want to do that as well. So if they equal food, or if the item equals food, we're going to want to echo out a link which will go to nowhere to begin with, and we'll just put eat so when we come back over to our inventory, under grapes, berries and apple, we should have a link which says eat. There we go. We can choose to eat grapes, and berries and apple. We obviously can't eat our steel armour, thin armour, our cloth, bronze, longsword, dagger, steel or wood, because they're not food types. So that's we've added stats to the items. We can now move on to using items and healing. Now this process, we're going to be using those links here, and we're going to use it to consume the various items. So what we're going to do is we just want to add a get statement on there, put an action of eat, come down here, or come up to here even. So, and we put if is set the get variable action and is not empty. Get action. We want to do something. Right, so if the action is set and it's not empty, what we're going to do is we're going to make a variable of item ID, and it's going to equal, we're going to run a little function, a function here of preg replace, and what we're telling this to do is to delete or remove anything out of a string and replace it with nothing that is not 0 to 9. So if someone tried to mess about with the URL, everything but numerical data is going to be removed. It's going to be stripped from our when it goes into the item ID variable. So we haven't made this, we haven't added this variable onto our string, onto our URL yet. So is it get an ID? Now that ID is going to contain our item ID. So if we add this to our select statement, we can add this down into our link here and have the variable as ID. I'm not sure if that's going to work actually, is it? Okay, let me just swap these around. I'll put that in there and that in there. That looks a bit better. So we've got our item ID, and what we will do is, just to show you how this preg replace works, I'm going to echo out the item ID before our time runs out, and so we eat. Now you can see up in the corner here it states the item ID. Now if I change the URL to put one hello world and we submit that as the ID variable, we'll still only be left with 1 because hello world has been removed from it. If I add a bunch of numbers in there and say how are you, so at the moment the string says 1 hello world 788321 how are you. Now when we enter that, we will be left with 1788321, like that. So that's how that preg replace works. I'm going to end this video here before I run out of time, so join me in the next one.